This is a printmaking tutorial on how to do linoleum carving, or what might be called wood block carving, because you could carve wood the exact same way. Let's get me out of the way, and we're going to use a video that I'll pause to give additional information as we go. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm starting with what we will call the blue knife, and it's called the blue knife just because that happens to be the one that has the straight edge on it. And you are going to run a straight edge, pushing pretty hard all the way around any of your line that you are wanting to cut out. Once that is done, you are switching over to what I refer to as the red knife, which has a larger channel in which to cut on, if you can kind of see that. And then you are running this blade not with the cut going. So for example, if I was using the purple, I wouldn't use the center of the cut. Instead, I want to wiggle, wiggle, wiggle so that this corner is running along that channel that I cut with the other piece. So I'm running along the side of the cut, not over top of the cut. So you'll notice I go all the way around as I cut, and then I even will go back over to make sure that I've got a nice deep kind of trench. Once I've done that, I can actually go through and start carving towards the center of where I want to remove. You'll notice my hand is located back behind the blade. That is a crucial safety feature. It also helps to stand up. So we're going to pause here in just a second. Do you see what I'm doing right there? It is so easy to actually carve into your hand, the hand that is located here. Sometimes people hold the tools backwards, sometimes they don't hold the tool backwards, but their other hand is located here. This blade will slip and can do some serious damage. In fact, so much so that because you can pretty easily end up needing stitches with these tools, we actually treat using the tool incorrectly as a behavior issue, and we will make you stop what you are doing and fill out a behavior ticket. The reason is, quite honestly, if you get sent to the emergency room because you weren't using the tool correctly, I need documentation to show just how many times I tried to correct your behavior. And then actually, if I feel you're too big of a safety risk, you unfortunately won't be able to do this project. These are some serious blades here. So you're going to go ahead and take out the whole area, and you'll notice it goes faster. Once I do a little carving, I can do a whole lot of carving. And it's important that I'm going really deep into the material. Essentially, you can kind of see the little ledge there, but there's this backing. You wouldn't want to cut through this stuff, but otherwise you are cutting. You can kind of compare the part where I haven't cut to the part where I did cut, just how thin that edge gets. So once you're all done carving, it is time to start cleanup. And here in just a second, you will see me clean up. You're responsible for all shavings, so you clean and wipe your table. You also need to sweep up your floor. Once you've done that, that is day one of at least learning this process. Day two of this process will actually be doing the print. It's important to get started right away because holy smokes, does it go fast. You need all your time. So you move over near the printing press. You're going to get out. Oop, those were directions. So you're going to want to make sure to write out the directions on the back. And this gets really complicated. Here's what you need to know. Whatever you carve out, that is the color that whatever your paper is, it will be. So for example, if I carve out an area and I have black paper, it doesn't matter what color ink I put over here, the carved area will become black. So for example, I took black paper, I carved out areas, I did a print, and now I have a black circle. Everything else turns the other color. So in this case, it was white. So now, if I want a white circle, I have to go to my plate and I have to carve off an area that I want white. I then put over top a different color, it can be any color, this happens to be red, and doing that, so I went from white circle to now, or from black circle to now I have a white circle, right? Because I covered up all of the white except for what was carved. I can repeat this process again, and that gets me, see, I carved again, and now I have my red circles. Okay, so here's how this works. So you're getting out your ink, you're putting on your gloves. You will then take off any jewelry. You will get out the supplies that you need. You'll get some ink out. Little dab will do ya. You put it on your plate, you roll it around. You want a consistent amount on your roller. Then do you see how my thing isn't fully covered? This is a sign that my ink is too thick. So I'm going to use a small amount of linseed oil. I wouldn't want to use too much because otherwise it's going to go everywhere, right? You can't control an oil. So little dabs of linseed oil, mix it up, and now you'll see I'm getting a much richer color. I'm very careful to try and keep it off of the areas I've carved, but you'll get it where you don't want to, and then that's when you're going to use a paper towel or a rag to wipe it off. Once I'm done with that, I then need to take off my gloves, and now I'm going to get my papers that I want to print on. You'll notice that I'm actually going to take them and put them into the sink, and I'm going to get them wet. So I'm not going to drench them, but I'm going to get them nice and wet. And then I'm going to put down a paper towel, and I'm going to blot off any moisture so that it's not shiny. If you see shiny, that's a sign that you have got too much surface water. So you want to blot it until it's dull. Then you'll notice how carefully I lined up my edges. I started with the corner and then I slowly rolled it forward. It's a one-shot deal. If you lay it wrong, you can't pick it up and relay it. You just have to print it as is and then try again. Once I get it laid out, I take it over to the press. I am very careful about my fingers because you can really damage your fingers. And then I pull it off, and that's my plate. Once it's pulled off, that goes on the drying rack. So does anything else I want to keep. Put a pair of gloves back on, and now it's time to clean up. I scrape, and scrape some more, all of the excess ink. Those ink containers are buco dineros, so we always try and salvage anything we can, plus it makes cleanup easier. Then I'm going to get a dry paper towel. This is an oil-based product, so we use water. No water, just dry paper towel to wipe off the majority of it. I can stretch out my paper towel and re-wipe it until all I have left is maybe a little coloring. Then I do the same thing, just dry paper towel, rubbing everything off, the container off, putting it back. Any tools I'm also rubbing off with a dry paper towel. Once I have everything but just color, right, all the oil itself is gone, then I can use a squirt bottle and a rag to finish things off. If I were to introduce that too soon, it'd make a terrible mess. That is how you complete printmaking, but really it doesn't make sense until you actually start doing it. So best of luck, and make sure to ask for help if you need it.